Auzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Welcome to week number 4, recorded lecture number 10. Today we are going to start effective oral presentations as a topic. Okay, so moving forward towards discussing effective oral presentations. Well, first of all, oral presentations are part of professional life. Now they are even very much part of your student life as well, right? For example, you are required to give presentation almost in every second subject. Then you are also required to give presentations for your final year project. A reasonable part of that is based on your oral presentations. This is in student life. When you go to your practical life, there will be a number of occasions where you will be required to give oral presentations, and your effective oral presentations are going to be a positive sign for your further development at the workplace. Effective oral presentations will create your positive image. They will convince people, towards your point of view that you want to present. Of course, effective presentation is not the only thing that is going to do everything, but this is one among very key skills that are required at the workplace and that matter, that help you present your ideas to your relevant audience. Well, many novice professionals have oral presentation fear, which can be reduced by focusing on. Well, as a matter of fact, if you there are, like, if we had physical classes, we would have a better opportunity to present, because there you would be presenting in front of an audience like you would be having. But never mind, because things are not in our control, so we will be having presentations through this virtual classroom. You will be required to make a video presentation of about 3 to 5 minutes, and that you are going to upload in the classroom. Anyhow, I'll tell the details later on. But the point is that many novice professionals, many young professionals, many new professionals, they have fear, right? And if you have fear, nothing is wrong with that. I mean, I won't say that is something that cannot be improved, right? It can be, because being professional, you did not get, being new professional, you did not get many opportunities to present. That's it. And if you pay a little attention towards overcoming the fear, overcoming the anxiety, you can very easily do it, right? So those among you, some of you may already be very good presenters. I'm sure there are some. But those among you, usually, it's not that even those who are good at presentation, that they are 100% in every area of oral presentation. Maybe there are one or two areas where improvement is needed, and there always remains need for improvement as we groom and as we grow, and as we move on with our professional and personal lives. So these five things can help you improve your confidence level in your oral presentations, and they can help you make your presentations more effective. So first one is preparation, right? We will talk about each one of them in detail. So preparation, you must prepare for the topic that you have been assigned or you have selected in either of the cases. Secondly, it's organization of the information, of the content that you have decided to deliver for your presentation. Thirdly, it's the audience rapport, how you maintain rapport with your audience, relationship with the audience, uh, creating positive image in the audience and understanding your audience, because the more you understand your audience, the better you can present. Then it's the visual aids you use for PPTs and all that. And finally, it's the delivery method. So we will talk about each one of them in detail, inshallah. So let's move forward to the first important point that. Okay, so the first thing that will help you overcome your fear or anxiety, if you have, for oral presentation, is knowing purpose of your presentation. It will also help you to be clear about your topic. And in simple words, we can say that the first thing you must know about your presentation is why do you want to, or why are you required to present. In certain cases, you may have a choice to select the topic on your own, and then you decide on one of the topics, maybe out of a number of topics. But in your practical life, it's not always you are given options and you select one among them. You can be given a topic and you can be asked to present on that topic, right? Or there is some real situation that you want to present, because your professional life would be more about your real lifetime situation. So you have a real situation and you have to present on that situation, right? So when we say knowing why do you want to present, it means you should know the purpose. Well, if you are going to present to an audience of even 5 to 7 members, and if you present for 10 minutes, so you would be consuming 70 minutes. 10 multiplied by 7 if there are 7 members. So if you are going to take their 70 minutes, you should be knowing why are you going to take their 70 minutes. Obviously they would be doing something else if they were not listening to you. So the first thing and very clear thing should be, why am I going to present? What is the purpose? What is the rationale? What's the logic behind presenting? Well, broadly speaking, this purpose can be categorized into three, broadly speaking. Number one reason to present or give a presentation can be to inform your audience about something. For example, like you have been working for an organization, say for 2 years. Now, recently, your organization appointed new interns, and your manager has asked you to prepare a presentation to orient the new interns about the company policies and maybe their general requirements and all that. Now you prepare a presentation. Purpose of that presentation should be to inform the candidates, to inform the new the interns about the company policies and their general requirement and expectations and all that. For example, you might have had that first orientation presentation in your department or at university level. So the purpose of that presentation was to inform you about different hierarchies at NAD, to introduce NAD system to you, to inform you about different things that you will be required to use. For example, the library, like digital library or uh, cafeterias or photocopier shops, because you would quite often require them, and general policies like about attendance policy and formal channel like class advisor. And so the purpose of that presentation was to inform. Let's take another situation that there are you are heading a team, and you have already had first meeting with your team members, and you introduce the project idea to your team members, the project idea that your team will be working on. Now it's your second meeting, and before second meeting you asked the participants, you took their feedback, and they said they would like to uh, get clarification about some points of the project that they could not get themselves. Now you go ahead with the second presentation, you take the feedback, and you come to know that these are the areas where they have been facing difficulties. Now your this presentation purpose is going to be, you are going to explain to them the areas they have identified that they have been facing problems in. So broadly speaking, this can be to explain. Third is to persuade, to convince. Suppose you want to initiate a new project in your company, and you have worked on that project, and you have made the feasibility report, and now you are going to present that project to the directors. So you prepare a presentation where you want to sell your ideas, or you want to pitch in your uh, project in front of the directors. So, and you prepare a presentations for maybe 5 to 10 minutes. Now this time purpose of your presentation is to convince your audience, to convince your directors. If you are able to convince them, if you are able to persuade them, they will give approval to your topic. The next point is know your topic. Whether you are going to inform, or you are going to explain, or you are going to persuade. In either of the cases, you should have a very good command on the topic on which you present, because your in-depth understanding will help you to inform them, to explain them, and to persuade them. So knowing about your topic, because if your audience does not get anything, obviously that is waste of the time for them, right? So try to work hard on the topic that you have selected or you have been assigned, so that the more knowledge you have about it, the better you can present. Though we will see in organizing the content that having too much knowledge is not, again, that is useful, but covering too much knowledge in presentation is never advisable, but we will discuss that later on. But first, after knowing purpose of your presentation, you should have a reasonable understanding of the topic that you are going to cover in that presentation. Okay, so after knowing purpose of your presentation, the second most important thing is knowing your audience, the people who will be listening to you. Because as we have already seen in communication purpose, the communication, successful communication takes place only when your message reaches to the receiver, right? And receiver interprets in the same way as the sender had decided, or the meaning that sender had in mind, receiver also gets similar meaning. I won't say 100% same, though efforts should be made to communicate it, as appropriately as possible. Effort should be made that, the meaning that the sender has, almost 100% should reach to the receiver. That should be the target, but it's a difficult target. But we must do our level best to communicate as effectively as possible, and we cannot be an effective communicator without understanding our audience and without keeping our audience in mind while preparing any message, right? Whether that is written or that is oral, because this lecture focuses on oral presentation. So in this case, our receiver, according to communication process, our receiver is our audience, who are our listeners. Well, as I have already discussed, the second most important point is to know your audience. The more you know about your audience, the better you can prepare and present. Know as much as possible about your audience, like their age, their gender, their education, experience, and size of the audience. As we have already discussed in barriers of communication process, that audience can come from different education background. For example, if you have an audience who are grade 10 students, of course their maturity level, their thinking pattern is going to be different from the audience if you are presenting some ideas to your directors, who may be in their 40s or even older than that, who have, who are mature, who have a lot of exposure. So you cannot keep the same level of presentation for grade 10 students and for directors of an organization. So this is what you need to know, that if you know, okay, this is my audience level, this is their age group, this is their education level, this is their experience, and of course to some extent gender also matters, whether it's only female audience or male audience, or both genders are going to be present, right? So do your level best to know as much as possible about your audience, because there can be differing frame of reference according to age. As I have already said, that targeting an audience of grade 10 and targeting an audience of, manager level, is, they are two different audiences, right? And knowing this all about your audience is going to help you to great extent. Now moving forward with knowing your audience. Well, according to Guffey, the following questions are helpful to understand your audience. If you keep these questions in mind, they will help you analyze your audience better. So ask these questions to yourself before you go for presentation, or at the presentation preparation stage. Do keep these questions in mind. Number one, how will this topic appeal to the audience, right? You need to interpret it in advance on the basis of knowledge you have about the audience, their the same points as we covered in the last point, their age and gender and experience and even cultural values and educational background and so on and so forth. Next, how can I relate this information to their needs? Of course, if you are unable to relate that information to their needs, they won't consider it important. For example, if you recall in my first lecture, I did try to justify how this course, business communication and ethics, is useful for engineers. Or why should engineers learn or focus on four basic skills of English language like reading, writing, speaking, and listening? The idea was to convince you, right? So, how can I relate this information to their needs? So, to whatever extent it is possible, try to identify needs of your audience. I know that is not possible in every situation, but being a presenter, a professional presenter, you must make all efforts to know, to identify their needs, because the more, the better you can identify their needs, the more effective you can present, and the more useful can your presentation be to them. Next point, how can I earn respect so that they accept my message, right? Like, there can be multiple ways. One can be your respect for the audience, second can be your very good preparation, third can be your effective presentation skills, fourth can be your relevant experience in that field or area. So these are a few things that you should ask yourself, what should I do to earn respect? Because unless they respect you, they value you, they will not pay a lot of attention on what you say. Then, what would be most effective to make my point? This is preparation, content for your uh, presentation. So you must decide in advance whether facts are going to be more appropriate for your audience, whether statistics is going to have a better role, whether personal experience will work, or you think expert opinion will be more valuable for your audience, or you think some of humor can be more useful, or maybe including some cartoons can make it more appealing, or maybe some graphic illustration can capture your audience, or maybe some demonstration of practical work will work better, or maybe case histories or analogies, right? You can use many of these options. Again, uh, like, there is no standard recommendation that you must include all of them, or you must include two of them or three of them. Actually, being an effective presenter, you will be required to make a decision. You can take two, three, four out of them, or you can even add something that is not included here. It depends on the nature of your topic and on the type of your audience. So, of course, when you are a presenter, you must be having grip on your topic, and you should also make an effort to know your audience. When you know these two things, these points can help you. You can select some of them, like all of them can be effective for one thing, and in other situations, some of them may not be that much useful. Next, what measures must I take to ensure that this audience remembers my main point? Because if they do not retain your main point, of course they cannot retain 100% of your presentation, but at least efforts must be made that your audience retains your main points. Okay, so Let's now talk about these four types of audiences as suggested by Guffey in the book Business Communication Process and Product. So here we have four columns. The first column is audience, second is organizational pattern, third is delivery style, and fourth is supporting material. So we will discuss each type of audience one by one. Like to begin with, friendly audience. So friendly audience is the audience that likes you and your topic, right? Like suppose we have this presentation in a physical class, then your classmates. If your classmates like your topic that you have selected for presentation, then uh, they 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 are willing to listen to you, and there are some who are your friends or who like you as a presenter, right? Then it means you have friendly audience. Now organizational pattern, any pattern, try something new, involve audience. If your audience is friendly, try to involve your audience in your presentation. Delivery style, it should be warm, pleasant, open, lots of eye contact and smiles, because your audience is friendly, so you need to remain friendly with them, right? So eye contact will help you, smiling will help you, and all that. Supporting material that you can give during your presentation. Humor will help. Examples, you can give examples to explain points, and you can also share personal experiences. Well, if your audience is friendly, these things will help. Now second type of audience is neutral audience. Your neutral audience, they are calm, they are rational or mature people, they have minds made up, but think they are objective, right? This type of people are very calm, they are mature, they are serious, they have come to your presentation to listen to you, but at the same time they are objective, they won't think subjectively. If your presentation is not effective, then they are very easily going to judge it, and though they usually neutral or calm and mature people, they do not disturb you during the presentation, but obviously there will be certain things that their interest level will go down. Now organizational pattern for neutral audience is, present both sides of issue, like pro and cons or problems, like, because they are objective, so you need to discuss both sides, pros and cons of something, or problem and solution for something. Like patrons save time for audience questions. If it is a neutral audience, mature audience, then they would like to ask some questions, so do save some time for that. Delivery style should be controlled, even, nothing showy, don't try to exaggerate things, and don't try to you know make things as if you are making fool out of your audience. So don't show too much, because they are mature people. So be confident and give small gestures, you know then supporting material would be facts, statistics, expert opinion, comparison and contrast. Avoid humor with the neutral audience, personal stories, and fleshy visuals. So you need to avoid humor, avoid personal stories, and avoid fleshy visuals in if your audience is neutral, right? Third type of audience is uninterested audience. Well, this uninterested audience, they have short attention span, attending against their will. Like there are always one or two students in every class who are uninterested audience. They their parents force them to become engineer, so maybe they wanted to be singer or a poet, or they wanted to be something else. So usually they are uninterested, so their attention, they cannot concentrate for long, like they cannot very patiently listen to you even for 20-30 minutes, right? Because they are attending against their will, either there is some force or something. So organizational pattern for uninterested audience: your presentation should be brief, no more than 3 points. Avoid topical and pro con patterns because they are not interested in that. They seem lengthy to audience. Your delivery style, it should be dynamic, changing and entertaining. Then move around and give large gestures. You know, if it is uninterested audience, you should move around. You might have experience in your student life still at the school, college, and university level as well, that some of the uninterested students, they would even sleep in the class. So the teacher needs to move around. So if you are a presenter, so you need to move around so that to keep them active and involved. What can help you? Humor can help you in that. Cartoons can help you. Colorful visual can help you. Powerful quotations can help you, and startling facts will be of help to you, right? And for these all three types, avoid darkening the room, standing motionless, passing out handouts, using boring visuals, or expecting audience to participate, right? Because in case of uninterested audience, they are less likely to participate in it. Then the last type of audience that we have, that is hostile audience. Hostile audience wants to take charge or ridicule a speaker. They are defensive and emotional. You may have come across many such members in the audience, that they would ask such a question to the speaker, and their intention is to make fun of the speaker, or to degrade the speaker, right? Or to ridicule this speaker, right? Their organizational pattern for this would be go for non-controversial topics, such as uh, go for chronology or geographical pattern. Non-controversial pattern, right? Or such as based on topical, and chronological means a sequence, or geographical, these topics can help. Organizational patterns can help you while dealing with the hostile audience, right? Okay, so having covered all four types of audiences in the last slide, now let us move to one reality about audience, that is all in one audience type. You can have all types of audiences in one, and usually we do so. For instance, 50 persons are your audience. You are going to give a presentation, and there are 50 listeners, right? Let's say it's a physical classroom, or 40 listeners. And now you present in front of the classroom. Now all 50 of them are not going to be friendly to you. Neither all of them are going to be neutral, nor all of are going to be uninterested, and you don't even find all of them hostile. On the basis of my experiences, and you may also have noticed that if that is a class of 50 students, say, let's suppose, usually you will find only 2 to 3 of them are uninterested. Usually, in some cases, there nobody may be uninterested, and 4, 3, 4, 5 students, usually they are hostile. Well, the same students may not remain hostile for the same teacher. Maybe 2 to 3 are hostile for one teacher, another 2 to 3 may be hostile with another teacher. So in your case, there are some uninterested audience, there are some there is some hostile audience, and most of the audience at NAD Alhamdulillah is, you know, uh, mature, neutral audience, and there are always some who are friendly audience. Now, actually, in one audience that you are presenting to, you can have all these four types together, right? And being an effective and skillful presenter, you must learn, like, for example, your presentation should cover everything to, you know, to cater needs of all types of audiences. Like, most of the time, of course, we have to go for our serious topic, that is topic for the presentation. And since you know most of your audience is neutral audience, they are there to learn the subject, understand the subject, so you need to target them. At the same time, you know, there are going to be some uninterested members, so you need to prepare accordingly, maybe after a short span of time, say 10-15 minutes, if that is a 50-minute class. Maybe after every 10 minutes, you need to go to those uninterested students, you need to observe them, you know. We need to be more polite with them so that we can bring them in, we can, you know, increase their attention level. And if there are any hostile members of audience, so once again, there will be some, right? At least if that is a large number. Usually in professional life, if there are 5 to 7 members, usually most of them will be mature audience. But even there, you can expect 1 or 2 members who may behave against the expectation. So while dealing with a large number of audience, like that is 10 plus anything, you should be ready that some of the members, most of the members can be mature, some can be friendly, maybe a few can be uninterested, and few can be hostile. So we should not expect that 100% of your audience will be hostile, or 100% will be friendly, or 100% will be neutral, or 100. Well, in very rare cases at experience level, that may be possible, but usually it's a bit difficult to get a complete type of audience where no second type or other type does not exist. Anyhow, well, thank you very much for today. Inshallah, in the next recorded lecture and live session, we will talk about organizing a presentation and remaining parts that are needed for an effective presentation. So please do take good care of you. Thank you very much. See you, inshallah.